tirelessly continue to work day after day after day, whether it's the volunteers in the information tent, or it's the medic, it's the people cooking food, it's the people picking up all the trash. There's a lot of people that are doing a lot of things for absolutely free, volunteering, getting only a couple hours of sleep at night. These people are busting their butt. So thank you again to all you volunteers and everybody out there working so hard. Also want to give a special shout out to the, I won't say it, we'll say the soup lady. I want to give a special shout out to her because every single day she is working hard. Every single day she's making sure that at least me gets a plate. She will chase me down to make sure I eat every day. And if it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't eat a lot at all. So thank you, personally, thank you. Everybody please give her a round of applause. In the next coming days, as we relocate to the back, that woman and her team is going to be extremely instrumental in feeding us. So seriously, that woman deserves all the praise, and her team, she's amazing. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you. Yes, sir. John and Kim, raise your hand. They're leaving today. Thank you for everything you guys have done. I don't like finding out this way, but thank you for everything you've done. Guys, give them a round of applause. They've stayed up all night. They've done a lot. You guys are family. You guys are family. We love you, and we hope you can find your way back here shortly. But we understand. And before you guys leave, make sure we talk. Thank you. Thank you. It's our pleasure to have you here and a part of this family. You're welcome. The next thing I got is, I forget why. Oh, that's right. This young lady here. What, Wendy? Wendy, you need to go speak to her, the soup, our soup lady. I will not say the other word, so soup lady.
Soup mama.
The politically correct soup lady. Soup mama. That's what I'm gonna call her, soup mama. That is now known as soup mama. Soup mama. Yeah. So get with her, she'll get with that. And as far as the other volunteering, ma'am, that you were interested in, medical, turn around. And those two, before they leave, will make sure that you are in touch with whoever you want. That's great. That's like the information circle. Okay. Other than that, look, let's have a great day today. We're plugging away. And yeah, I got you, buddy. I got you. I'll do it right now. Raise your hand up high. This gentleman right here is going to be handing out this paperwork. He's leaving today also, is that correct? He'll be leaving. He's been with us for quite a while. But he has a lot of information, and he's extremely knowledgeable about the 10th Amendment. So please see him before the convoy kicks off and before he gets out of here. Grab some information. I believe he's got a table set up down there too at the moment. He's got some DVDs or CDs or something, right? Both? Okay. Both. DVDs and CDs. Go see him. He's got a lot of information about the 10th Amendment. What? Why?
I don't know.
So they're going to try to shut down traffic? Oh, we're not shutting down. Oh, you know, yes, ma'am. Well, here, why don't you tell them yourself?
I got one before, or both of them before.
Thank you to the awesome mechanics that helped the old people get their motorhome up and running again.
Yeah, seriously, another hats off to all the mechanics out here working hard, keeping everybody going. I may actually need your help today myself if I can't figure out what's going on. But yeah, thank you guys very much. I mean, seriously, everybody here is working so hard together. We have an amazing community here, and I'm so proud of what this has become and what continues to go on. And regardless of any of the media, what they're saying out there, we continue to prove them wrong day after day after day after day. And if they actually come down here and spend even just a day with us, I think they would see what this is really about. I'm going to bring up someone else. What, Marcus? Yes, Marcus? Okay, yeah. We are slowly moving everybody into the back, okay? Please wait until you're directed to move back, though, because we have to have it set up a certain way. So there's some order back there. If you're already back there, hang tight. We're not moving you. You should be fine. 1 second, please. We're going to be moving the medical tent, information tent, all that stuff will be getting moved back there today. More than likely today, the information tent, all that stuff is going to already be moving back down there. As you see, Mike Landis' step deck is already back there. That'll be the stage going forward. Every day we'll be meeting over there for now. It is, what are they called? The American Freedom Convoy? Looking, double checking. I believe it's American Freedom Convoy 2022. I don't know why we keep putting dates, but that's what we do. American Freedom Convoy coming in. They're coming from multiple directions again. I'm told there's at least 40 trucks waiting on one of the individuals in Tennessee. In Tennessee right now, waiting to gear up to come on in. So our numbers are plussing back up. They'll continue to plus up. Remember that this is the kind of movement where you get big and small, big and small, big and small. Folks got to go home. They got to go make some money, and then they come back. Other people that haven't been a part of it yet but really want to come and can't believe we're still here, so they're coming on down. So that's going to happen a lot. That's going to flex a lot. So just hang in there. Remember, we're one big family, and you know, we got this. We're going to win this. And, you know, the states are starting to gear up. We got a lot of good things going.
Texas.
A lot of good things going. What about Texas? God bless Texas.
We got Barry and Scarpy Doo from Texas.
Okay. You got Brian, originally from Pennsylvania, now living in Northwest Ohio. I'm here. Who's all my Ohio people? Raise your hands. All right, who's my Pennsylvania people? Right on. Nice. So we got Pennsylvania, we got Ohio, we got Washington State here. Got Washington. We have Canada here. Arizona. See, we're from all over, man. Hold on, guys. Hold on. What?
We became Thelma and Louise.
They became Thelma and Louise.
And we're going to try and get Texas together.
And they're going to try to get Texas together.
We got to go home today.
They got to go home today.
The best is yet to come, all y'all.
The best is yet to come, she says.
Thanks, guys.
LA Texican? Are you an LA Texican? The point is, we come from all over, and we're going to continue to bring people in from all over. We're going to get bigger. We're going to get smaller. We're going to get bigger. We're going to get smaller. Don't feel deflated or defeated like the Republican Congress members right now in the House. Don't act like them. Don't feel like them. We're better than them. We know we're better than them, and it's time to remind them that they work for us. I'm Brian. A what? You're looking for a DVD of the Convoy to play on the big screen. You got a DVD of the Convoy? Oh, gotcha. I don't know if anybody has one. Did anybody make one? Has anybody made a DVD of the Convoy already? Oh, the movie Convoy. I thought you were talking about our Convoy. Our Convoy is way better than the movie Convoy. Come on. I'm just kidding. Nothing beats the movie Convoy. So if anybody has the movie Convoy on DVD, they are looking for it to be able to play it in the back on a movie screen back there. So if you have it, please come and see the gentleman in the cowboy hat, or Mike, Ohio Mike. See him and he'll hook you up with, or hook him up with the movie. All right. Anyway, I don't know. Okay. We need a mechanic over here at the end of the stage, please. Somebody, mechanic, a young lady over here would like to speak with you briefly. Okay, here we go. Anyways, as I was saying, please don't let this, as the crowd gets smaller, don't let that make you feel defeated It's not over yet, and we're growing. Convoy's arriving Monday with at least 40 trucks from Tennessee. I'm told Washington State's coming in again. I'm told there's some from Montana and the Dakotas. I'm told there's some from Nebraska and Iowa. I'm told there's some from Florida. There are people that are actively that have went home from here, but are coming back, and right now they're rallying a bunch of people to join them to come back. So it's working. What we're doing is working, and let's keep it going. I love you guys. God bless. I'm going to bring up someone that's going to share a story.
Gigi.
What?
Gigi.
I'm going to bring up Gigi.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Never said Wisconsin.
I mean, does anybody really care about a state like Wisconsin? I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Anybody from Wisconsin, please raise your hand. Wisconsin folks. Yeah. There you go. Look, she's mad at me for saying that about Wisconsin, but she's wearing a Yankees hat.
We're going around Wisconsin or Madison this weekend and next weekend.
They're doing what?
Around Madison.
They're going convoying around Madison?
What you said.
Nice. Right on. Thank you, Wisconsin. I was only really saying it because you're wearing a Packers hoodie. That's even worse. Don't raise your hand, dude. No, we can get into that stuff later. That's nighttime talk. Anyways, I love you all. God bless. I'm going to bring up somebody to share a story. I'll let her explain who she is and where she's from. And I briefly read some of the story. And, well, I think it's just fitting that she closes it out to remind everybody what we're doing here. I love you all. God bless. Have a safe day. Remember tonight, 7 p.m. tonight, 7 p.m. tonight, 7 p.m. tonight at the step deck in the back 40. Love you all. God bless.
Gigi.
Hi guys, I'm a little nervous. So I have been a nurse for.
Up closer to your mouth.
But you just spit in it.
You want a mask?
Are you vaccinated?
No, I'm not vaccinated. Because I'm not.
Sure. So this is just my story. The beginning of 2020, I was working in a hospital. I was a supervisor educator. I had worked in healthcare, traveled, float pool, so many different things, and now had landed a position I could educate the next generation and current to use critical thinking. I worked with a manager I loved, and I was free to be an advocate for nurses and patients at this job because I knew and was respected by most of the staff at the healthcare facility. So when COVID-19 erupted, I, of course, like everyone, was a little scared, but do what I always do. I jump into action and I educate myself and others. So I did. I got shields and donated hard hats and made face shields for the nurses. I handed them out to the staff at both hospitals and continued to learn. Then we realized we had shut down all our services and we didn't have the COVID craziness they said would come. Instead, the hospital went into the red financially and we had meetings every day that seemed not to be helping. We started getting COVID patients. We actually had the first death arise from our county in North Carolina, which he didn't suggest was here, but they are, Mama Trucker.
North Carolina.
This patient was about 300 pounds and refused intubation. He walked into the facility with an oxygen level of 60. He got transferred out and ended up dying from a stroke related to COVID. This is when I had to step down from my position and start working the floor. The hospital didn't have enough money to pay for my position anymore, and we had no staff. That is when I decided to leave this hospital and go educate myself more. I took a staff development position at a facility they were turning into 100% COVID positive nursing home residents. So we got nursing home residents from all over the state. I was able to educate staff on PPE, on respiratory status, and on infection control. I saw that with examining labs, these patients were given blood thinners as needed and vitamins. We had a 94 to 95% survival rate. Fast forward to December 2020. This is when they started giving COVID shots to staff and patients. It was optional at this time, and I kept my opinions to myself, but opted out. I didn't trust this. I hadn't researched it for myself. Some staff members that got it, they were mad that I had told them not to, but this wasn't my job yet. I didn't know. One staff member ended up having an enormous cyst on her ovary they thought was cancer. I remember one staff member about 2 hours after her shot. She sat down in a chair in front of me. She didn't look good. I asked her what was wrong. She said things were spinning and she wasn't sure. I took her vitals. Her blood pressure was 190 over 100. She didn't have a history of this. We called her family and sent her to the ER. She stayed there and was given IV meds to reduce her blood pressure. From that day out, she didn't come back to work. I was unable to reach her. I don't know what happened, but I know she lived, but at what cost? I worked at this facility for 7 months. I never once got COVID, tested every week. During this time while I worked at the COVID facility, my oldest daughter worked at Walmart. I begged her to wear an N95. I didn't know everything about COVID, but I did know it was airborne, and that was the only mask to help in any way. My oldest is a rebel. She does what most liberals do. She virtue signaled with her cute cloth mask and went about her day. I love my daughter, even with her own choices and craziness. Well, one day I came home and she said, "Mom, everything hurts." I said, "Just go to bed and sleep. We will see how you feel tomorrow." The next day I went to work. I came home early and said I was going to take her to get tested. On the way to the truck, my daughter said, "My chest hurts." My heart immediately sunk. But knowing what I did, I took her to the ED. She was tested for COVID. It was negative. I knew they were wrong, but I didn't care. It meant I could be with her. Her troponin cardiac enzyme was elevated. Normal is less than 0.03. Hers was 0.07. This one wasn't huge, but it was elevated in a 20-year-old with chest pain. They admitted her for observation. They released her the next day. I made her lay down as soon as we got home. Her heart rate was in the 160s and she was short of breath. I knew this wasn't the last of it. Sorry guys if I get a little blistered right here.
It's okay, you got this, Gigi.
The next day I was getting ready and she begged me to help her with a bath. I filled the bath lukewarm because I felt she needed to be careful with heat. As she was getting out, I was helping her dry off. She looked at me and said, "Mom, I don't feel well. Something is wrong." Right in front of me, my daughter dropped. She fell to the floor. I screamed. I didn't feel her pulse. She was unconscious. I yelled for my husband to call 911. I got her flat on the floor and had my hands onto her chest. Being an ER nurse, it came naturally, but being a mom, I was torn up. She jerked a little. I felt for a pulse again, and she had one. Slightly, my hearing came back. I heard my 12-year-old screaming. I heard my husband on the phone. I heard my 7-year-old crying. And then I heard the fire rescue men walk in. I was hovered over my naked 20-year-old. Her eyes slowly opened, and I was explaining to fire rescue what happened. I covered my daughter with a towel, and we picked her up on the stretcher. As they took her to the ambulance and I got her some clothes and rushed to my truck to follow her to the hospital, I was shaking. I got in the truck and called the manager and my friend to talk to me while I drove. I was screaming and bawling. It was a moment I will never forget. When we got to the hospital, the doctor came in and we told her what happened. She did blood work and tests. Her troponin was now 0.17. Her CT showed opacities in her lung and fluid around her heart. I said, "I'm sure this is COVID and it's pericarditis from it." The cardiologist didn't agree. The hospitalist wanted to discharge her. I refused this and asked for an echo. She was admitted, and the nurse on the floor came in and said, "Oh, they want to put her on COVID protocol, and that means I cut her off." I said clearly I told them from day one what this was, and they ignored until I almost did CPR on my own child. "You will have to get security to remove me." They stopped the COVID protocol, and she got her echo and diagnosis of pericarditis, pleural effusion, viral pneumonia, and they started colchicine, aspirin, and Motrin. She followed up with a month of bed rest. I add this to my story because it was traumatic, but also to show what COVID does when you don't have the right treatment early. I didn't know about ivermectin then. I didn't know about the early treatment I could have provided for my own daughter. I was educated and I did not know. I also add this to my story because my daughter, after she healed and wanted to go to college, they required the COVID shot. I begged her not to get it, told her there were side effects. She again didn't listen. She got the Johnson & Johnson shot. She thought one and done. I cried. She got the shot mid-2021. In November 2021, my daughter texted me and said, "What does it mean when I can't walk to the bathroom without getting short of breath?" Again, I told her it means you need to go to the hospital. Go to the nearest one and I will meet you there. When I got there, they called her back. I told the ER nurse, "I think she has pericarditis from her history and the J&J. He said, "Yeah, I have seen a lot." He continued to say, "When I saw my first 17-year-old STEMI, which is a heart attack, I knew something was wrong." After some blood work, my daughter's D-dimer was 892. Normal is less than 0.5. She got a CT to look for blood clots. It was negative for a PE. The doctor then came in and said, "Well, we will walk her around and see how she does." I again said, "I think she has pericarditis and now microclotting from the shot." He laughed at me and said, "No, it's probably fine." So we walked her. Her heart rate went to the 150s and her O2 went to 92. I again refused for her to be discharged and for her to see cardiology and get an echo. So we did, and she did. The echo showed another pleural effusion, pericarditis, and she was to see cardiology and pulmonology to follow up. She was placed on colchicine course again, longer this time, Motrin, and I put her on vitamins and nattokinase, which is a natural blood thinner. She is doing much better today, but she now has worse anxiety. She's scared to get sick. She hasn't taken a hot shower since the time she collapsed. and she is not back to her usual physical activities. I speak this story of my daughter because I feel like I should have treated her early with ivermectin and vitamins. When I knew about them, my husband got COVID and he was fine in a day with ivermectin. When I got it, which I'll tell you how I got it, I took ivermectin and had to do doxy, Z-Pak, and prednisone because I masked it worse, so I was a little worse. My youngest two got it. I just increased their vitamins, used homemade quinine, and included quercetin and zinc. I feel bad because my oldest suffered at the hands of health care she got, and I failed her too. I should have known, but I was not educated on it when she got sick. This is why I keep pushing to educate others and not allow another young, healthy person to fall because our health system is controlled by non-critical thinking individuals that refuse to learn. Now, when I got COVID, I was working as a travel nurse. Now, you remember I worked in a hospital when it started and in a 100% COVID positive facility and never got sick. I got COVID from shedding, from the shots being given. I work in a small facility in the mountains. Thank God it's a low vaccination area. However, I still saw the horrible side effects of this shot. I have actually kept records and will one day put them all together, maybe write a book about them, so this part of history does not get forgotten. A few I will talk about. I had a patient that was having increased seizures. She had a history of seizures, but had not had one for years until she got the Moderna. She said, as soon as I got it, I had a seizure that night. She then said she had 5 to 6 seizures a day since the shot. The doctor came out and said, geez, she's crazy, huh? When I went to discharge her, she was crying. I sat down and said, this is real. I believe you. You need to report it to VAERS and call Moderna and report it. She said, thank you. She wrote down the information and walked out. When I went to clean her room after she left, I got shocked. And I don't mean a tiny shock, I mean it hurt, and I had to walk out without finishing. Ever since that day, the static electricity while cleaning rooms after patients leave is constant. Another story, it was a long night, and we were busy with very critical patients. A couple came in. The boyfriend was carrying the girlfriend. He said we were going to go on a trip, but she just wasn't acting right and wouldn't wake up. This woman was not alert. She was breathing, but appeared very sick. The rapid COVID was positive. She was in septic shock from COVID. We had to intubate her and put her on medications for her blood pressure and sepsis. The boyfriend was sitting on a chair in the hallway crying. I sat next to him and put my hand on his shoulder. He said, how is this possible that she has this? They paid her $100 last week to get the shot. I said, what? He said the health department paid people $100 to get the COVID shot, so she can't have it. I just kept my hand on his shoulder and let him cry. Inside I was boiling. I came onto a shift and had a 38-year-old that had been intubated. He had no medical history and had come in by EMS after he collapsed at home. He had COVID and blood clots. I talked to his wife on the phone and she stated he got the COVID shot 2 days prior and had been short of breath since. I told the doctor. She said, it looks like he got the shot too late. This was the response of a medical provider providing his care. It made me angry and sick. This man died a few days later, probably labeled unvaccinated death because it was not 14 days out of his second shot. It was 5 days after his first. I came on to shift and had a very sick man. He had COVID and was on BiPAP. His wife was there with him and she was tearful. I talked to her and him and asked her what happened to get him to this point. She said she didn't know, that he had had both shots and wasn't supposed to be sick. I stood there wanting to scream. The shots do nothing. But I listened. I went out and looked in the computer. He had been there the whole day in the ER. He had an echo done. It showed that he had some strain on his heart and high pressures in his lungs. As I sat there, I listened to the off-going doctor giving a report to the oncoming doctor. He was talking about another patient that was there on oxygen. He snickered and said, and he is not vaccinated. I snapped. I looked at him and said, well, what about the one in there who is doing worse and is vaccinated? He quickly said, well, he doesn't have his booster. I know my face became red in anger, and I just got up and walked away. The wife of this patient was crying. I went back in the room, and I cried with her. I prayed with her. She pulled out awards and showed me that he was a veteran. He fought in the guerrilla wars and had won awards. They were in the process of getting U.S. veterans benefits, but hadn't yet, and could I please help? I called the transfer center. I pleaded to get this guy transferred. I relayed that he was a hero and that he did what he was supposed to do and is now dying. Nothing was done. I went to the doctor. I asked him if he could give him vitamins, ivermectin, and sildenafil, that he needed them to survive. He laughed at me, said he would get in trouble for giving these. Instead, the patient got admitted. I came back the next week and he was still there. I went upstairs and he was intubated and prone. After speaking with his wife, she told me about their 4 children, the fact that all her family was in Laos, how she didn't know what she was going to do if he didn't make it, that they had given him remdesivir and other medicine and nothing was working. I again cried with her and prayed with her and told her I would continue to pray for her and him. Fast forward 1 more week, when I came back, I'd been informed that he passed away. I didn't get to see the wife again. It haunts me how many stories there are. I have many more. So many nurses and healthcare providers have many more. So when I was in the hospital with my daughter in November 2021, I joined Telegram. I joined an Australian Christian healthcare workers group. I was sad to hear what was going on in Australia and wanted to pray for and with them. Instead, they prayed for me and my daughter. The few that I talked to were able to help me get through the horrible moment in my life. It was God that led me there into the Patriot pages after that. So then I got involved in the NC pages and then the Convoy. I volunteered and became Care Packages 81. I helped with donations for our group. Never having done anything like this, I was able to get a huge storage full of care packages and donations and even gift cards. I then adopted a trucker, Mama Trucker, as I thought everyone should, to have a personal responsibility to improve this situation. And I could not have gotten all the donations without the team we had in North Carolina. It was awesome. I also, as a nurse educator, have been trying to educate those around me. The people I work with know me as the psycho ivermectin nurse. My husband sometimes jokes and asks if I want a foil hat. He says with love. And my nurse counterparts in North Carolina have yelled at me. I wrote an educational letter, I won't read it because I don't have it, that I started distributing around to the staff at hospitals in North Carolina. One morning as I was doing this with another awesome nurse, a nurse came and started yelling at me. She said in no way was I a nurse, nor was I educated. She said I was spreading propaganda and should be ashamed. She asked security if they could remove me. I was on a public sidewalk, so they couldn't. Inside my heart always sinks in these moments. I get embarrassed, I question myself, I ask God if I'm really doing his work. But on the outside I smiled while this nurse threw my letter back at me, jumped around because she was so angry. I said, if you don't believe me, just research it. She said, I don't have to. I have worked the last 2 years in it. I just said, well, have a good day. Here's the problem we have in this world, not just in healthcare, but overall. We have too many that close their eyes, their mind, their heart. We have too many that say, I am smart enough, I work in it, is it peer reviewed? Everyone wants to depend on others they think are smarter than them to make choices for them. And if it's accepted by many, they accept it too. But the ones that truly make the best changes for the world are the ones that go against the grain. It's the ones that stand up and speak the truth when they get called a psycho or spreader of propaganda or all the other things I have been called and laughed at. Every time someone says these things, I will admit my heart hurts. But it also makes me stronger and more willing to fight. When the fight gets harder, I just get stronger. This is part of my story over the last 2 years. I know some have had it harder. I know the wives of 2 men who have had it harder than I can imagine. I have met some wonderful people in this last 6 months that I now call my friends. I have an adopted trucker that is an amazing, strong, beautiful woman that I am proud to call a friend. I met a nurse that has lost her job and still helps me with spreading the truth and traveled with me to pass out care packages. I met another friend that helped me make signs and posters for me to spread the truth. I could go on, but I will stop. God is in control and has his hands in this mess we are in. We have to fight, all of us in different ways, but none more important than the other. It's always been good versus evil, and this is no different. So keep fighting, keep standing up, and even when the evil seems to be winning, keep the smile on your face and let God handle your broken heart, because the evil never wins.
Hey, Gigi, we love you! Freedom, baby!
I didn't expect all that, but wow. Wow. There's a reminder, I hope, of why we're doing what we're doing, and I hope that motivates you today to keep doing what we're doing and to help bring others down here and continue to share these stories. There's so many like hers around the country, around the world, that it's unbelievable that we continue to live like this. It's unreal. That's why I say it's not a right issue, it's a left issue, it's an American issue, because it's an issue for the people. We're suffering. The people are suffering in the United States and globally we're suffering. I'm very proud to have a over the phone relationship with an individual helping to organize Australia right now to stand up. I'm very proud of that dialogue that we have going back and forth, and I think I didn't get to last night, but tonight I'll probably be doing a live video with him if we can arrange it. You know, we're a little bit opposites of time, but we'll try to get that going some more. I'm very proud to see people around the world standing up, because this truly is a violation of your human rights, your God-given rights. This is a human rights violation on a global scale, and it's time that around the world, that everybody stands up, that everybody fights back, resist. Don't get the jab. Don't get the jab if you don't want it. I don't know. Like I said before, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a nurse. I am not in a position to tell you whether it's safe to take or not. I'm not that person. But I know enough that you should have the choice. That you should have the choice, and that's what it's about, that you have the choice. That other stuff, if it is bad, that shakes out later. We find that out, and hopefully those people are held accountable for forcing people to take something that was so harmful. So, anyways, God bless. I love you guys. Remember, same plan as yesterday. For more information on what's going on, go onto the website, thepeoplesconvoy.org. Information's on there. And for those of you at home right now looking to get involved, start gearing up your states. We need you at the state level. Monday, we look forward to the American Freedom Convoy showing up. Can't wait to see you guys. God bless. Be safe, everybody.
Oops, sorry.
Hey, one more thing. I'm sorry. One more thing. I do want to say, and maybe we shouldn't say it until afterwards, but there is something going on. Have any of you seen the school when you go by? The kids come out waving every morning when the convoy goes by. This morning, thanks to this gentleman, he has organized some trucks to go over and hang out with the kids. So they're going to go over and pay a visit to those kids. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Brian, really quick vets meeting over here. Veterans meeting over here.
Real quick, they also have the veterans meeting over by the grandstand again, same place that you had it the other day. So veterans, if you'd meet over there, please. Thank you.
That veterans meeting now? Yeah. It looks like it's one of the